Novak Djokovic, but congratulations, you're going to win. You're going to break all these records, and you are an incredible tennis player. But I hit with your your training partner once, so technically, I know your skill. So just don't ever play against me. That's all I'm saying, Novak Djokovic. Hello, is Cam here with Cam's Every Week. Whoa, craziness. We are going to be talking a lot about Mr. Novak Djokovic. He is Serbian tennis player who just won his first Wimbledon. Yeah. No, he just tied Federer and Rafa with his 20th career major title. It was pretty nuts. Good for him. I'm not a fan of Novak. I actually wrote down in parentheses Novak's Djokovic. It's not, because it's his name, so we don't put the swear in the swear jar. And I wrote that because he's pretty open about the no vaccine thing. Maybe he got one now, but at least when they were like hyped up and being like, "Hey, you should get one," he was like, "That sounds bad." So I know he did that. He is not, at least in my research, I have not found that he is publicly open about choking bitches. But he just kind of looks like it. That's it. I hope I can find a picture, because otherwise that point was meaningless. But he kind of looks like it if you look it up. You can probably just Google Novak Djokovic grumpy or angry. None of the faces look like someone who wouldn't just kind of shut up, you know? But anyway, that's beside the point. He just won his 20th major at Wimbledon this year, and I'm not a fan. I don't really like him too much because when he was younger, and this is, okay, so this whole thing, I was starting off again, I was going to really rip him a new one. Every argument I bring up, I was like, oh yeah, but that's, I'd just find a flip side to it, because I was like, okay, well, he's a lot younger than Federer, but he's only a year younger than Nadal, and Nadal just won 20, so it's like, oh, okay, so that's really impressive from Nadal, mostly because he's really only done it at the French Open. He's won, 12, 13 French Opens, so he's won 7 other majors that he really shouldn't have won. A Wimbledon against a prime Federer, that shouldn't have happened, but again, it's happened. Djokovic, I didn't look that up. I got, again, too distracted. I was trying to find more different points. Like, oh, what about this? Has he done this? And I guess I didn't bring up a prime Wimbledon Federer. But either way, he's kind of been at the back of the pack. He's been the 3 for a while. Actually, he was number 2 because Nadal would only be number 2 around the French Open. So he was usually kind of skirting at number 2 more frequently than Nadal. But either way, he was in the pack, and he was always skating underneath number 1, who was Federer, for a long time. So he was learning. He was in the back learning. And why? Because I'm seeing all this, he's not a bad guy, and he's getting all this press for, like, not being a bad guy. And it's like, well, he never really was, like, a bad guy. It's just that he was, from a tennis player's perspective, no one would ever want to play against him, especially when he was young. Just like Federer. If you watch the two of them when they were young, they were really good at just getting the ball back. If they weren't thinking offensively, they were super defensive players. To watch their young years, they were hella cocky, both of them. Federer was worse than Djokovic, actually, because Federer was doing it against Sampras and Agassi. And so there are points against Agassi where he's like laughing at the dude after hitting a crazy shot. It just wouldn't fly well against other tennis players. So that's usually, and then Djokovic, it's just because he was so open about not disliking, that's not the right word, because I guess he likes all the other players, but he was open. He's like the comedian on tour. Like, you've probably seen the video of him mocking other players' stances, serves, pre-serve warm-ups. Again, it just rubs players the wrong way. That's all the bad guy stuff. Like, he really isn't a bad person. It's just he's his own person. He doesn't care about... He's not going to be a Federer type. He's not going to go out and be this, like, philanthropist style. I mean, he is. He's helping a bunch of Serbian things, so he's obviously a philanthropist. But he's not going to publicly do it. He's going to be, like, just doing it behind the scenes on his own dime. Federer would be out there... At this point, he's out there doing, like, a lot of... Well, no, actually, Djokovic is out there now doing PR. See, this is what I mean. I just keep constantly finding Djokovic, like, things where I'm like, oh, he's actually not a bad guy. Like, Federer does a lot of PR things and goes around with, like, not Make-A-Wish, but, like, those style where he's, like, helping out young kids and, you know, trying to build futures, especially in the tennis world. And Djokovic didn't do that for a while, but Djokovic always, you know, he wasn't the big player. He was in the big three, but he wasn't one or two. Like, again, Rafa and Fed were the bigger names at the time because he came in after. So then Djokovic used... he used Federer and Nadal to kind of go into tournaments and, you know, glide through tournaments. Because, again, if you're playing... This is... and, again, to compare myself to a professional tennis player, it's always fun. But when you're playing at, like, a number 3 level or a number 2 level, but you know you're still, like, a number 1 player or, you know, a level above where you're playing at, the draw is going to be a little bit easier for you. You're going to face up against players that are ranked a little bit lower than you. And again, this is comparing it to me in high school, which very similar to the ATP Tour right now. I'd play at a number 2 level, and I'd play against kids that, you know, weren't necessarily competitive against the number 1 in the same way that I was competitive with my number 1. Like, I would never beat him, but I was definitely, like, they were all close matches, maybe tiebreaker matches, but he would always beat me. Like, a tiebreaker came on his bad days. Either way, like, it was always competitive between us. All the other schools weren't that way. Like, some of them were just like, oh, this kid's crazy good and will smoke all the other kids on the team. And then the next 5, because it was top 6, next 5 aren't, you know, they're just, like, good tennis players. So the kids I would usually play, a lot of times, we were just the best of the rest. And that's not the same as playing against a competitive number 2. So that's how Novak Djokovic kind of got a lot of those younger titles. But then I was looking it up. His earliest title was like 2008, and all the rest came in the double-digit years, like 2010. I think he has one 2009. But all the rest are like 2010, 2011. So they are jam-packed in those 10 years. But again, I keep forgetting it's 2021. Oh my God, that's 10 years. Either way. Federer didn't start in 99. That's when he became pro. I think his first tournament won was 2001. I'd have to check that one out. Either way, it's over there. That's right, I didn't do my hair thing. So I think I jinxed myself yesterday when I said in one of the descriptions I put that I got rid of the acorn cut because I woke up. I swear to God, you put a little stem. What size is this side? Put a little stem right there. I'm an acorn, dude. Like, it's spot on. I got the different parts this way, and then the face goes down at the point. No me gusta. Anyway. So yeah, I'm an acorn today. Maybe I'll get a picture on the side. And I also switched some of the clothes around. I was giving my onesie some love, and there's a hole right there for the ladies. Ooh, ooh. So, anyone wants to see me in that onesie, let me know. I think it's actually in the intro. Yeah, cool. Either way, back to Djokovic and Federer and Nadal. So yeah, Federer did start at a young age in 90. I think he was pro in 99. But yeah, his first tournament was won later. And then he won a lot of his tournaments between, like, 2008? No, probably 2006 to 2014, somewhere around there. 2015. Then he got a lot of injuries, back, wrist. I think he's had a couple knee injuries. I think the most recent one's a knee injury. Either way, he's getting the age plague. And it's rubbing Djokovic the right way because, like, I mean, Federer was able to get 2-3 rounds in, knock out maybe one big name from the tournament that might be a hard second round or a hard third round somewhere. But because it's Federer can just get him out of the tournament easy, and then just be like, oh, shoot, my back, my leg, my knee. Legs and knees are similar. So Djokovic had a lot of that. So again, some people saw it as he was just kind of skating. But he was still at a number 2, number 3 position. You look at some of the number 2s and 3s we have now, it's like Medvedev is doing really well, actually. I don't want to tarnish his name. But then you get Dominic Thiem has been kind of a flop once he gets into the 2-3. Shapovalov's probably going to jump into the top 5. I don't think he'll be in the top 3 yet, but he'll probably jump up pretty high after this last Wimbledon. Hopefully he does well. But again, you're getting those youthful, they're just going to pop up, and they might drop back down. Djokovic did do a really good job of staying in the top 3, even from a young age. Then we drop down, and it's, I mean, Nadal. I'd put him over Nadal, but then you see Nadal's won all these ATP titles. And a lot of those, again, are because he can win any clay tournament he joins, and the French. Well, the French isn't ATP. Well, either way. So he's doing that, but then he also goes in and wins all these other tournaments. So people are saying, well, Nadal specialized and he can win other tournaments, so he's got to be better than Djokovic. Federer is really good on grass. He was somewhat specialized. I think he has like 8 or 9 Wimbledons. Djokovic has 9 Australian Opens, which is like the grass of hard courts just because it's so fast. From what I hear, I've never played on it. Never been in Melbourne. Nadal specialized on clay either way. Federer and Djokovic, I mean, Djokovic doesn't really have a specialization. Federer is less so. I mean, he's a huge grass court specialist, and he would destroy, in his prime, most players on grass, except for Nadal one year. Either way, Djokovic doesn't really have it. He's a defensive player, so he just kind of adapts, and that's something not many players or viewers really like seeing. They don't want to see someone that can just kind of do okay on surfaces, because okay in tennis a lot of times pisses off the other player, and okay can beat matches. If you're just getting shots back that are all right, I mean, sometimes that can win you the point just because you're getting the other player so pissed off. They're like, fuck this dude, I'm just going to hit it really hard. That doesn't always work. It works a lot, but not always. Then he has a big game now. He's been able to play against such big players. I'm not saying he didn't have a big game when he came in. Obviously, he had something that got him to the tour level, but a lot of that was defense. He was like Murray when he first joined. Murray is even now, Murray's won, 1, 2 major titles just because of defense. You look at those years, it's like all heart and soul. That's all. You know, a lot of luck went his way. And I don't like Murray. I'm not saying that he's a top 10 player and should always be up there. But he made them question calling it the Big Four for a while. That's pretty scary. But he was all defense. And like had a backhand and an aggressive lob. I'm a backhand player, so I can't really tarnish that one. But an aggressive lob as your best offense, that means you're a defensive player. That's all. Novak Djokovic, one of his best skills is that he's a great return of server. He is a great return of server. But that means usually you're a defensive player, which means that a lot of the matches that you win aren't going to be the prettiest matches. You're going to get scrappy points. You're going to get tough things. And again, it's not the best for viewership. And for other players watching that, they're going to be like, fuck that dude. Like, just let that go. Just let that go. Why are you running into a line judge to hit that ball? Just let that go, dick. But, you know, in a normal match, there wouldn't be a line judge. Either way, not a normal match because they're playing in regular professional matches. I mean, in a non-professional match, there wouldn't be a line judge. So there are a lot of things we have to take into account. And he's just not the most personable person, you know? But we've seen a lot of, with Kyrgios and Naomi Osaka, like, the tour really isn't the best place for people to be the most personable person, you know? So I wanted to do this whole thing just so I could shit on Djokovic and be like, hey, you suck. Ha ha ha, you're never going to win 21. You know, Federer and Nadal are always going to live above you. But let's be real. He's 6 years younger than Federer. He's a year younger than Nadal, but looks a couple years younger, fortunately. He's probably going to get a couple more titles. I mean, they're not going to be pretty titles. Again, he's going to be just like this one, this Wimbledon, where he It doesn't. If you watch the matches, it doesn't look like he's really dominating, but he's playing the points out precisely right. Like everything is just going Djokovic's way. So he is a really good tennis player. I don't think it's the same kind of tennis that Nadal and Federer are putting out. It's not that prestigious tennis that everyone's like, wow, that's what we want. That's what, it's not commercially acceptable. It's just, it's what wins points. And what wins points is getting the ball back, just hitting it sometimes. He's really good at that. And that does take a lot of skill, especially at that level. It takes a lot of skill. So as much as I don't like Novak Djokovic, and as much as I think his vilification was somewhat justified, I also think that Federer was probably just as much a villain as Novak Djokovic was. Nadal is just a weird machine, so he doesn't count. Just watch some of Nadal's interviews compared to either of them. It's not the same. He's just is weird. He's too goofy. But yeah, so go fuck yourself, Novak Djokovic, but congratulations, you're going to win. You're going to break all these records, and you are an incredible tennis player. But I hit with your training partner once, so technically I know your skill, so just don't ever play against me. That's all I'm saying, Novak Djokovic. But yeah, so happy Friday, and 5 days, 5 videos, bro. Yeah.